Hello, my dear health seekers. Inga from Health Origins here. How are you? So, welcome to part two on how to transition to healthier eating. So, let's have a cup of tea and chat together at what specific foods we should be eating. So, last time we determined that plant foods are the optimal ideal foods for our bodies, the way our anatomy is made up, all the systems and organs, and what food is ideal for them, for those systems, and hence for us as fuel. But today I want to mention specifically what type of foods we should be eating and should be looking to eat. So yeah, so there is a very interesting analogy that Jason Shirka mentioned from the Rays of Light book. For those of you that don't know who it is, it's a very spiritual man. He's sharing deep kind of spiritual knowledge. And you could find him on YouTube as well. But basically, in that book, The Rays of Light, there was a food pyramid mentioned, okay? And there were 4 levels to this pyramid. So the way it was described, that the most energy that we can get from the food is the closer it is to the sun, being the source of light and energy. So the plants are at the top of this pyramid, so they're the highest vibrational food. So eating all the plant kingdom, all the natural foods that grow on the ground are as little processed as possible. Basically, how they grow on the ground, how they grow on the trees and so on. So what you find in nature. So that's the top, the highest layer of this vibrational pyramid, so the highest vibration of food. Then the second level down is all your herbivores, so all your goats, sheep, cows, whatever, all the herbivores that eat the plants. Okay, so if you are eating herbivores, hence meat, you're eating from the second level down, and you're filtering your sunlight through their bodies as well, okay, rather than getting directly from the top level, which is your plants. Then the third level down is your carnivores. They get their sunlight from the herbivores that they get it from the top layer. So that's the third level down. And then the fourth level down, like the lowest vibrational food, is all your processed food, okay? And that's where most of us live on this planet at this time, is eating from that bottom layer, very ultra processed foods. And that's the lowest level, because they're so processed, even if they are plant foods, because plant foods are not equal plant foods, right? That's what I wanted to mention to you. So yeah, not all plant foods are equal, and not all plant foods are equally as good for your body. So the difference there is, the more whole food the plant food is, the better it is for your body. So the highest vibrational foods are raw plant foods that are also organic, so they haven't been grown with any pesticides or herbicides, okay? So that's your highest vibrational foods, and that's ideal food. So there are some raw foodists among vegans that eating just the like raw live food, because that way that you're eating like raw alive energy, if you like, the closest that it is to the sun as possible. So yeah, I personally eat cooked food as well, but what I would suggest to you, that the highest vibrational foods are plant foods that are least processed. So I tend to go 80% whole plant foods, and then 20% could be your treats, your every so often some, from that bottom layer, maybe processed plant stuff, so like your burgers, store-bought sausages, occasional ice cream or something like that. So whatever, plant foods you might enjoy. So I still stick to plant foods because I understood. And once you understand mentally that animal products are not beneficial and not made for our bodies, then you'll not crave them. My husband was the biggest meat eater you could find. When I would make some Lithuanian dish that had some potatoes with like potato pancakes with some sauce, he would say, well, where's the main meal? He would have it and he's like, where's the main meal? Where's the meat? Right? So I remember when somebody asked him in one of the meetups, raw meetups we went, and we were not vegan back then, somebody asked, would you ever consider going vegan? Because a lot of people in that group were vegan, raw foodists, some of them, or some just like eating high proportion of raw. And my husband, I remember, says, no, I would never give up meat. So yeah, so it's funny how he is like the strictest vegan advocate at the minute. So once you understand mentally and in here that animal foods are not beneficial and not really a food for us as humans, okay, it's not optimal fuel whatsoever, then you will not be tempted or miss those foods. So I try, so because it's impossible to be perfect all the time, and once in a while we do fancy a treat, and the more we deny us a treat, the more we actually crave it, you'll find. There's an interesting book that you might want to have a look at, is Intuitive Eating. So in there's some exercises that that the two ladies advocate to try to kind of free up foods, as they call it. Very, very interesting. Is basically you make a list of 10 of your favorite foods, whether it's ice cream, pizzas, whatever, right? And then one by one, free them. And the way you free them is, for example, let's say it's ice cream. So you buy as much ice cream as you want and you eat it lunch, breakfast and dinner as often as you want, so basically eat it whenever you fancy it. And with time, your body will probably not want that sweetness anymore. It'll start craving actually different foods, healthier foods, because our bodies are so clever. But also mentally you will understand that you can eat it if you want to, okay, but you will choose not to. So you can go through the list and free a few more foods to make yourself understand that you can have that food if you want. It's not forbidden, you just choose not to eat it because it's not good for you. So anyway, so for me not to have this like, I can only have the cleanest foods, 100%. No, I let myself have a treat now and again, some crisps. I know it's not great, it's processed, it's oily, but crisps can be sometimes my little downfall. But as long as you keep it 80% whole, good, healthy, whole foods, to 20% some play foods, as they call it in that book, in the book that I've just mentioned, so they call it play foods, where you allow yourself to have those treats, those play foods once in a while. So 80-20 is a really good ratio to kind of stick to maintain the optimal diet for most of the time for yourself. So another thing I wanted to discuss is supplements. Let me sip some of my tea. So if you have any questions, please pop them down below. I'll not be able to see them now, but after the live, I'll be able to read and comment back to you. But so let's discuss supplements. So if you are gonna be transitioning to a plant-based diet, which is an optimal diet for us as human beings, then you want to know a few things about the supplementation, right? And I'll address a couple of myths. So that's like really, really interesting. So this is your vegan myths. So first of all is protein. So that's a big question. Once if you told somebody, well, I'm going vegan or I'm eating plant-based foods only, the first question, I guarantee you, they'll ask, where will you get your protein from, right? That's the first question that people are normally asking, people that are going plant-based, right? And it couldn't be easier to fulfill our protein needs. It's a massive myth, that's been perpetrated, I guess, by the industry with all the protein supplements and, the animal industry pushing that we need to have protein with every meal. Protein is so important. The reality is that every single plant food has protein in it, even fruits. So even fruits have at least 6% of protein in them. Okay, so you don't really need to worry about protein deficiency whatsoever. If you are eating enough calories, you will never ever be protein deficient. Okay, if you're eating plant foods, the only way you could ever be protein deficient as such, is if you are malnourished. So say some people, some people in Africa, if they don't have enough food to eat as such, they might be malnourished and hence not have enough protein. But it's not due to like lack of protein, it's just lack of food sustenance in general, okay, being malnourished. So yeah, so it's a really myth. And there's also a really good book you can read on the subject called Proteinaholic. I forgot the name of the doctor now, but I will put the link down below. But the book is called Proteinaholic, so it's doctor that's written it. He researched it extensively, about our obsession with protein and the myths about it. So yeah, so that's protein addressed. The other big thing people say, well, vegan or plant-based diet must not be a natural diet for us human beings because it doesn't have B12, which is vital for every human being. Okay, and this is another big myth and people don't know that. So I wanted to clarify. So back in the day, where would we get our B12? So first of all, actually, what is B12? So B12 is bacteria living in the soil. Okay, so it's a soil bacteria. So it doesn't live in the animal. Animal gets it the same way we used to get, is by grazing the grass and having some soil with it. Obviously we didn't graze grass, but we would get it from the bacteria from the soil. And how it would get in our bodies, back in the day, was through well water. Okay, so we used to drill wells in the ground, and that's how the bacteria would sip into the water, and we would get a healthy amount of this B12 bacteria through our natural well water. Nowadays, obviously people are not having well water anywhere, or well, not in like developed countries, Western countries anyways. So they're not getting this, vital nutrient B12, and or the bacteria, in other words. And our water in the mains is chlorinated, fluoridated, and all sorts of chemicals added to it. So all the good bacteria, beneficial bacteria, is dead in the water, so we don't get it through water. The other way we used to get it is by growing organic vegetables in our gardens. So we pull, say, a carrot, wash it a bit, and there's still some, bit left because, we couldn't kind of disinfect it so much. Once you wash it and eat it, it still has some of the bacteria left on it, some soil left on it. But nowadays we buy all our vegetables from supermarkets, and in supermarkets those vegetables are washed in chlorinated water for hours and hours to make sure every last grain of dirt and every last bacteria is washed off, right, for longevity of foods. And detrimental effects for us because we don't get the beneficial bacteria anymore. And also a lot of the food grown, like vegetables, are also grown in non-organic methods too. So that's, that's another thing to consider. But that's how we used to get the B12, is through growing our own vegetables and also having well water. So that's why these days we don't get B12. And even people that are eating meat would not get B12, because most factory farming, the animal agriculture, where the animals are raised in massive productions, grown in actual indoors, kept indoors. They never let out to graze grass. They never even seen maybe the light of day or grass. They are fed corn or soy or whatever monocrop they are fed, or sometimes even worse stuff. And hence they wouldn't get the bacteria from the soil that they would get naturally if they were eating grass outside. So what they do, the animal industry, inject your animals with the B12. So why filter your B12 through an animal flesh when you can actually, take a supplement or get, your own B12 injections? Because there are some versions that you can inject in yourself. Well, not yourself. You go to your GPs, and I think they inject you every few months. I don't know exactly, every 3 months or every 6 months, something like that. Or you could take an easy supplement. So I'll show you a couple of supplements I take, okay? And we'll talk about a couple more things, iron and things. But for example, I take this is Nutravita vegan vitamins and minerals. So this is like an essential blend of vegan, vegan kind of vitamins and minerals that is recommended. So it has vitamin B12, vitamin D3, which I also take separately as well. Vitamin D3 is like your sunshine vitamin. So this one is from YRI Health or YRL Health, which is vegan vitamin D3 and K2. Okay, so I add that additional because sunlight is so vital, and these days we have hardly any sunshine whatsoever, and even if we do have sunshine, is not high enough levels in this time of year to get enough vitamin D3. So anyways, that's extra supplement with that, but this has got your basic vitamins and minerals covered. So yeah, so basically you want to look for some natural brand that has no synthetic fillers, binders, obviously that is vegan, and don't have any GMO ingredients. So kind of a more natural supplement. So yeah, so I supplement with B12 because B12 is normally derived, vegan B12 derived from algae. And that's where I get my B12 from. Just take one supplement a day, or you could take ones that are higher dose and you only need to take one or twice a week. But yeah, it's up to you. But I prefer just take one daily, and then I don't forget. It's easy to remember. Take it in the morning and it's done. So yeah, so why filter your B12 through an animal when you can take it directly? Okay, B12. And then another vital supplement or ingredient I wanted to mention is your iron. So when I first started eating plant-based, after about 3 months, I started feeling really tired and lethargic. Okay, and I was wondering what's the matter, what's going on. And what happened was that I've done my blood test and found out that I was really low in iron. Okay, because there's two types of iron. So there's heme iron, which is in your meat, and then there's non-heme iron, which is in your plant foods, but also in your dairy and eggs. Okay, so the difference between heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron is much easier absorbable by your body, so that's from meat. However, you can easily overdose on that. So your body does not know how to regulate its levels, how to cap it off, and you could overdose on heme iron. But with the non-heme iron, which is the second type that I mentioned, that is in plant foods, okay, and also in dairy and eggs, that is less easy absorbable form of iron, so it's a bit harder for your body to absorb it. However, you can never overdose on it, so your body knows perfectly well how to regulate the levels and how to remove it from the system if you've got enough. So and that's what was happening with me. My body was just not great at absorbing non-heme iron or enough of it. So I had some iron obviously, but not enough, not high enough level. And women need more iron than men because obviously we have our periods, we menstruate, so lose some blood. So naturally we need to replenish some more. And it also depends on separate bodies. So for example, my husband, he has no trouble whatsoever with iron. He didn't need to supplement really because he was getting enough from food, whereas for me it was an issue. I tried initially to deal with that through food. I tried to get enough iron through food. However, I still wasn't quite successful. It still was quite on a low level, even though I tried for a couple of months. I think it would be possible if I was really regimented, getting a cup of beans, a cup of greens, a cup of, lentils a day, or, like having specific foods. Also, I don't eat oats, and oats and other cereals like wheat as well, they're quite rich in your iron. However, my stomach doesn't like oats, so I wasn't eating like say a porridge in the mornings or anything like that. So it was finding it hard. I was finding it harder to get enough iron, and I decided, what, I don't want to be kind of so regimented every day to have beans and greens and lentils and certain amounts of everything every day to try and keep enough of iron levels. I thought, what, I'll take a supplement, and there is iron in this multivitamin, and that is all I need. I don't need any more, so there's enough what's in there. So yeah, so don't be worried about it. I would say, you could try do it without, do it with food. Obviously measure your blood before, test your blood before going vegan. So ask your doctor that you want to check your bloods because you want to go plant-based, and then maybe check it after 2 or 3 months after going plant-based to make sure your levels are in the right range for iron, and then you don't need to supplement necessarily. But I think it's not a massive amount, and if you supplement, it's just better to be safe, just my opinion. So anyway, so that's about iron. So that's the main ones. And also another one to mention is your omega-3s. So omega-6s you naturally get quite easily. I mean, some sources of it are not really healthy. So like your oils, I personally don't eat any oils, and we might probably have another episode where I'll talk a little bit more about oils. But omega-6 is in sunflower seeds, for example, okay? But you need a right ratio omega-6 to omega-3. So omega-3, oils are naturally obviously in fish, which omega-3 fish oil. However, for plant-based plant food that has omega-3 is your flaxseed. It's probably your richest source. Also chia seed has it, and hemp seed. Hemp seed actually has the ideal ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. Us personally, we put every morning in our smoothie we'll put a couple of tablespoons of sunflower seeds and a couple of tablespoons of flax seeds, and that's our kind of daily dose, because you need about a tablespoon of flax seeds per day, and that's enough for omega-3. I mean, it's not omega-3 version per se in the actual flaxseed. I think it's DHA, or like a plant-based version of it, that then your body converts to omega-3 oils that it needs. But yeah, if you know, you can easily get your omega-3 requirements with either supplements or just from foods, like I said, flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, that sort of foods, and there'll be some more you can have a look and research. So yeah, so there is some DHA in here for omega-3 as well, so it's quite a good mix in here, and iodine I believe as well, because iodine is very important for thyroid health. So yeah, so that's a little bit about supplements. I don't want to make this video too long, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I mean, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not a doctor. So consult your doctor, your physician, you know, if you're not sure, or if you have any specific illnesses or ailments. But if you're, you know, feeling okay, normal, you don't have any conditions, then all of the things that I mentioned, it should cover you, okay? So but yeah, if you have any questions, just pop them down below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Until a couple of days time, and we'll talk more about transitioning to healthy eating. So I hope you're having a lovely evening, and see you next time.